One spring football game coming up this weekend, just one light weekend as we take you to Purdue. Nothing light about expectations right now, though. Jeff Brom, named Purdue's head coach on December 5th, left his post to Western Kentucky to replace Darrell Hazel. Brom, considered one of the brightest offensive minds in the game, led his WKU teams to 3 consecutive bowls. Wasn't much time for Brom to assemble a staff, hit the recruiting trail, and retain commitments made to the previous staff prior to signing day on February the 1st. So it wasn't a huge surprise or disappointment to see Purdue right around 65 in most recruiting rankings. Now, the Brom era kicked off on the field in late February, the 27th to be exact, marking the start of spring football in Westlaw. Hasn't been easy for Brom and his staff to analyze the roster. Boilers have been plagued by injuries, especially later in the spring schedule. And for that reason, more than a half dozen players expected to be contributors will be on the sidelines for Saturday's spring game. Brom has decided to play the scrimmage in a ones versus ones and twos versus twos format instead of drafting teams like the Boilers have done in the past. Now, one of the Boilers' biggest losses from last year's team, the departure of speedy wideout D'Angelo Yancey. One of the men who hopes to fill that role, Notre Dame grad transfer Corey Holmes. Holmes is scheduled to graduate this summer. If he does, he can transfer, play immediately, and will still have 2 years of eligibility remaining for the Boilermakers. So what does Jeff Brom need to see this weekend from a roster that, as I pointed out, will not be whole? A lot of key guys will be on the sidelines with injuries on Saturday.
But I would say this. I think one of the things that he's doing that's going to really help this roster and help his coaches really try to determine who's going to be able to help him. It's good on good, ones versus ones. I think that's going to be it's going to be very beneficial to him to really understand who's going to be able to contribute. Now, yes, you've got the guys that are injured. That's going to be a problem, but you know that those guys, you'll be able to plug them in. I think what you're expecting to see is better quarterback play, right? David Blau has to do a much better job taking care of the football. 21 interceptions, not gonna cut it. You have to really start to take care of the football and run the ball and be effective that way. Defensively, hard-nosed, tough. That's what you want to see. You want to see them start to develop what the attitude is going to be of this team. What kind of attitude will they have? What will they look like defensively, offensively? This is going to be one of the opportunities that, for the first time, actually, that fans and also we in the media are going to get a chance to see that.
Do you want to see them try to run the ball a bit more? I mean, whether it's successful or not early in the year, it just seems like Blau threw for 280 a game last year, but he had to throw so many passes that some of those interceptions are just inevitable. You chuck it up 60 times a game, you're going to throw it to the wrong color jersey sometimes.
That's not a winning recipe. You want to be able to control the clock. And, you know, I learned a long time ago, when you don't have a really talented roster, you want to kick, right? So whether that's a punt, whether that's an extra point, whether that is a field goal. That's what you want to be able to do. You don't want to turn the football over. And if they don't do that, I think that'll give them a great chance. And you talked about it. I think this is a coach that really does a great job of teaching. When he was a quarterback coach at Illinois, really had a chance to get around him and understand who he was as a person. And he's a guy I think that's going to do tremendous things at Purdue. It's going to take time because of the roster, but I expect this to be a hard-nosed football.
That's a great point. It's not going to be immediate, maybe a couple of years, but most football people believe this is a home run hire for the Boilermakers. Hope it turns out well on the field in West Lafayette.